Many times I'm asked the question, can I make art yarns on my Susie, or can I spin really fine on my Aura? And the answer to those questions is yes, you can do pretty much everything on all the Majacraft wheels. But they all are designed for a specific application or a specific purpose. So when you think about this, the Rose is designed really for spinning very fine. That's where it excels. The Little Gem was designed for travel. You can put it together easily and it's portable, lightweight. The Aura was designed for making bulky art yarns. And the Susie and the Susie Pro, which I lump together, are sort of the workhorse wheels that are very versatile and can do everything really good if you want to equally spend your time spinning all sorts of different things. So it's really about you, the spinner, and what you really want to do as far as which wheels you should select. So I thought what I would do today was assemble the Little Gem using accessories I would recommend to allow you to spin up a nice bulky art yarn. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get this put together first. So the Little Gem comes standard with the standard bobbin, black plastic bobbin, and pretty sure it's the Delta Flyer. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. And then it has the Little Gem Whirl, comes with. And of course this very lovely carrying bag. So I don't have the bobbin or the flyer on here right now, but I do have the Little Gem Whirl installed. In order to kit out the Little Gem to do bulkier yarns, there's a couple things I do. Number one is I use the slowest whirl that is available from Majacraft. This is the largest whirl that you can get. So this gives you the slowest ratios, and slow ratios give you lower, twist per inch, depending on how you draft. And that's optimal for art yarns. Compare that with my fast whirl. This is for doing lace, very high ratios, up in the 20s, depending on the wheel. Then there's the Susie whirl. So if you're spinning with the Susie wheel, all these whirls are interchangeable on all the wheels. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch out the Little Gem whirl and replace it with the large whirl. So let's do that first. So the first thing I have to do is find that grub screw, insert my Allen wrench in the grub screw, and then loosen the grub screw so I can slide off the whirl. And good for me, I've got that on nice and tight. Just a little bit of a snap, which is kind of a scary sound at first, but. So I've unsnapped it and then slide the whirl off. Okay, and now I'm going to take the large whirl, which already has the grub screw in it. Don't take your grub screws out of your whirls. I'm going to find the flat, line that up with the screw. And then just tighten that so that's nice and tight. The Allen wrench I'm using is what is supplied when you purchase your wheel. And if you are using a used wheel and you didn't get the hardware kit, I do carry these little Allen wrenches in my shop. All right, so When I took this off and loosened the grub screw, it actually fell off. So I found it on the carpet, thank goodness. But I figured I would show you this as well, a little trick. And that is, if the grub screw comes all the way out of your whorl, just put the head, there's an indented head, put it in your Allen wrench, and there's enough friction there that it'll stay on even if you tilt it one way or the other. So have it on there, almost like you're doing a contact lens with your finger, right? Use the Allen wrench to hold the grub screw. And then you're gonna tighten it onto your whorl to the right to tighten it. And you don't have to go all the way in, just enough to hold it on there. So just that's a little technique. Okay, so now what I'm going to do after I've got my whorl installed, I am going to put on my jumbo bobbin. Now, I'm using a jumbo wood bobbin. We also have a plastic bobbin that you can use. And I have a video that I created talking about all of the bobbins and all of the flyers, and it's a comprehensive talk about that whole thing. The way they're doing bobbins now, everything works on all the wheels. All the whorls work on all the wheels, all the flyers, and all the bobbins. So I'm going to post a link here to the video I did on that. But for this purpose here, I'm using the jumbo bobbin to do my art yarn, and that's just because it allows you to spin more yardage because of the bulkiness. Gives you more capacity, which is important for art yarns. You're going to fill up a standard bobbin really fast and not have that much yardage to work with. Make sure that you get your tension cord nice and loose when you transfer from a standard bobbin to a jumbo bobbin, because you don't want to stretch out your tension spring. So you just, I will just unravel it from the knob shaft here, but you can also twist your shaft. And then go ahead and install the bobbin. So she is on there. And now I'm going to engage my flyer. Now there's two flyers for spinning art yarns, the Wild Flyer and the Aura Hybrid Flyer. I'm gonna install the Aura Hybrid Flyer. The Wild Flyer is really pretty and cool, and it's got these really large ceramic lined orifices. So for something that's, you really want it to slide through really easily, this is probably your better flyer. The other art yarn flyer, and this is the one I'm gonna be using, is the Aura Hybrid Flyer. Now the Aura Hybrid Flyer has got a delta orifice as well as a pigtail. You can use one or the other in your spinning, which is kind of a cool feature. So I'm gonna go ahead now and treadle this flyer onto my little gem. Oops. I need one more thing first before I do that. The drive band on my little gem. All right, come here, you sweet little thing. Sorry about that. Hope that didn't confuse you. Put that on. Get this into the grooves of the pulley. This is really easy to do, it's just hard to do on my lap. I'm not used to doing it this way. There we go. Okay, let's get that Aura Hybrid Flyer installed. Okay, so now I am set to go for using my little gem to spin an art yarn. The art yarn I'm going to spin today is from a Rooin fleece from RU. And I just did this. I started Rooing this year. Talked about it with Rich, and we decided, even though it's a little bit cold for the bread ewes who really need to conserve their calories for support pregnancy, but we did say we were gonna we could roo the lambs. So I've gotten the go-ahead to do that. All right, so what this is half of a Rooin fleece, and it's just the fiber under the coat, and this is from our ewe Ophelia. She's a little gray cat mugget. So I did 2 sides of her, and I decided that I'm gonna process this myself because I've been starved for fiber for so long, and it's time. So the total weight I got from both fleeces together raw was 20.8 ounces, and after I washed it, I'm at 14.4 ounces. So that's about a 30% shrinkage, which is kind of a lot, actually. I was surprised when I did the second weight. I can still smell quite a bit of I just used laundry soap for this, and it's still it still smells like that. So I might have used a little too much, but that's okay. I'll just go easy when I wash the singles. So one of the other reasons why I've decided to do this myself is that it's got that lock structure that I really like for my bumbly yarn, and also the staple length is ever so slightly short. It's definitely on the short side, and it's definitely got a nice little curly tip to it. And of course, extremely fine. All the lambs this year ended up with spinning finenesses in the very low 20s. All right, so I am going to just start doing that lock spinning from this fiber here. And then on the perimeter, there's darker bits that are a little bit longer and don't have the lock structure. So those I'm gonna flick card and spin those as really fine singles and use that for the second ply, just my technique for this stuff. So the other reason I decided to keep it for myself was I felt like the base of the lock had a little bit of scurf, but that actually washed out really nicely, so that's okay. All right, so let's just start spinning this little curly bumbly yarn. And the way I do this, let me just rip off a section. I try to create like a strip of the wool for myself, and I'm just going to double check to make sure I'm only lock spinning the real short bits. I don't have any longer stuff accidentally mixed in. The other nice thing about this is because it's under the coat, it's really clean. So I took all of her under the coat wool, and then I put the coat back on so that her breech wool and her neck wool still are there. And in this same episode I'm going to be showing you a video of one of my white ewes, Cordelia. And I rooed one side of her in the video. I put the coat back on her. Now the reason I do that is not for warmth, but it's actually for her own protection. If I didn't put the coat back on and just sent her out with a, let's just say I did both sides. If I sent her out with both of her sides rooed, she will look and smell like a different animal, and the flock will reject her and get fairly aggressive with her. So I put the coat back on mainly so that she doesn't look different or smell different. Then when shearing comes, all the coats will come off, and everybody's so confused at that point that nobody's really a target. So that's the strategy for that. But you'll see it in the video, and at the end of the video I have a little section where I show you, I'm using a new technique I learned with the video editing software, but I show her walking through the flock after she's been rooed, and nobody even is paying her attention. And I'm not going to cut a video of without the coat because it's just not very nice. They're just, they're uncomfortable with anything different with them, and so they will react fairly aggressively, actually. All right, let's get to work here. So when I'm using the large whirl to spin art yarn on my little gen, I'm going to use the biggest whirl on the pulley, and that will get me the slowest ratio, which is what I want for the art yarns. So what I do is I have the center, I kind of wrap the little piece, this little segment here, kind of around it so that all the curly tips are around the outside and all the base of the fiber is on the inside, kind of touching, and then draft it and deliberately work to keep the little tips intact. I'm envisioning that I'm pulling apart the base of the lock and keeping the tips really intact and curly and kind of crazy, like little octopuses, tentacles. So there you go. You can spin art yarns with your little gem. All you need to do is outfit it with 3 accessories: a jumbo flyer, which will be either your Aura hybrid or your wildfire, a jumbo bobbin, there's a plastic or a wood bobbin, and the large whirl. And of course I will put links to all these items as well as the little gem. They're all in stock in my shop, and I'll put links in the description for those. I'm reporting out on my breed study for the polypay sheep, which is the sheep the guild is working on this month. And there's the interesting thing about the breed is it was, I would say, engineered for a very specific purpose, which was to be prolific, both in terms of producing a lot of lambs and also producing a good amount of fleece, to my understanding. The 4 breeds that are combined to create the polypay are the Finn, and the Finn was selected because they are prolific. They're known to have, you know, triplets and quads. And the Rambouillet, characterized for its hardiness, so healthiness, to be able to endure all the lambing that they go through. The Targhee for the fleece quality, and then the Dorset for their mothering ability. So one of the questions I'm actually going to ask in the interview for the breeder that I have Scott set up for next week is going to be, you know, specifically what are the gestation periods, and also how frequently can they lamb. So those will be a couple questions I'm going to ask them. When I did an evaluation of the fleece at the raw level, my takeaway was it did not feel greasy. It felt fairly dry. And also, there was a clean fleece. I'm not sure if it was coated, but it was definitely free of VM. And then also I did notice there was a good amount of tip, and the tip is filthy. So the tip, this is actually after washing. The tip, I'm really debating whether I should cut it off or comb it as is. I'm still thinking about that, but I mean, it's just absolutely matted right down. I did take my sample that I'm going to be sending in for micron testing once I get an assortment enough to meet their minimum. And then I weighed what was left for the raw fleece, and it came out to be 43.1 grams, or 1.5 ounces approximately. And then this is a photo of it being before I washed it, and roughly 5 inches in length. And then I washed it, and the process I used was I did 2 wash cycles with soap, and I did use the unicorn wash. I got that from Fairly Fiber Fun, and I'll put a link to her shop in the notes here if you want to get some of that. She's a good source for it. And then I did 2 rinse cycles, and then a 3rd cycle in the washing machine, hot water, just hot tap water, and then I spun it out. And it's pretty free. I don't smell a lot of soap in there. So then I took a picture of it after, and I lost an inch. So it went down a little bit. After I washed it, it was 32.4 grams, or 1.14 ounces. So roughly 25% loss. And that was one of the things I also want to talk to the breeders about is, you know, when you talk about, there was something in the website, I believe, where I read it said that the wool is designed to be better processed in an industrial setting. And I think what they're trying to do is have not a big difference between inbound and outbound. I think I talked about that last week. So this is what I have to work with, and one of my big takeaways is, I think what I'm going to do the next breed we do is ask for more, see if I can get 2 bags of samples, because I've got a big list of stuff I want to do, right? I mean, I want to dye a section, so that's 1. I want to flick some, comb some, hand card some, flick, comb, hand card, and dye. So that's 4. So it's like 1/4 ounce for each system. I guess it's okay. I just feel like I'd like to have a little bit more. And then I also got some feedback in my comments, which I haven't answered yet because I've been kind of cramming this week because my son's coming home this weekend, so I want to get a bunch of stuff done before he gets here. But one of the comments about the loom that I found was that it's going to eat up a lot of fiber, and I probably don't have enough to set it up. I don't know what the words are, the long ways. Will probably use up quite a bit of fiber. So I got to rethink that. I do have a small, it's like an easel loom. I think they call them pin looms. Kind of like with the pot holders they used to make when you were a kid. So it's a lot smaller, and you know, maybe for this particular one I'll use that. And then the exciting thing I'm really jazzed about is I did get in touch with the president of the Polypay Breed Association, and he has agreed to sit with me and talk about the breed, you know, what their challenges are, and then maybe I'm going to ask him a little bit about his farm journey. If there's any questions you guys have for me to ask, if you want to throw those in the comments, that would be great. I would appreciate that. And that is the update. So yeah, like I said, my son is home this weekend, so probably when he leaves Monday, I'll start working on, you know, separating this out, combing it, carding it. I am also going to reach out and ask you guys for help on how would you dye, you know, this much fiber. I'm thinking I would love it if there was an easy way to put it in a plastic bag and throw it in the microwave. You know, use orange Kool-Aid or something like that. The only thing I have to make sure is that the process I use is going to be the same for all the fleeces. So if you guys know of anything or can send me, I'll look around a little bit, but in my mind I'm thinking I want it really simple, like orange Kool-Aid, Ziploc bag, microwave. But we'll see where that ends up. I'm excited about processing this. I suspect it's a little bit coarser than what the source book said the micron count would be. And that's also possibly where on the fleece, I mean, if this is further towards the britch wool, that might be the reason why. But we'll get into that. Looking forward to talking to the breeder. So that's my update. And hopefully I'll have more accomplished next week to share with you. Thanks.